Hello and welcome to TapeDeck Sessions with me, Josh Hayes, brought to you by TapeDeck. TapeDeck is the new online platform that connects casting directors with actors and creatives to send, receive and view self-tapes in one easy-to-use and organised place. So thank you for joining us. Here on TapeDeck Sessions, we chat to some of the industry's most exciting actors, agents, casting directors, writers, directors about their careers and their approach to the casting process. Today's guest started her career as an actor. She graduated from Arts Ed in 2010. Since moving into her career as an agent, she started at Debbie Rimmer Management before joining Galloway's, then moving on to Vivian Claw before most recently joining Denton Brierley. She has garnered a reputation as one of the UK's most brightest prospects, representing exciting talent across the UK and America, helping launch the careers of actors such as Lula Bell, Luke Roskell and Jason Patel. It is my great pleasure to welcome to TapeDeck Sessions, Miss Katy Wale.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very, very good, thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you. So, Katy, take us right back to the beginning. How did you get your start in the industry?
Well, I trained, as you said, at Arts Ed, 2007 to 2010. But I think the whole time I knew I probably wouldn't be entering the industry and remaining on the acting side. So I kind of always felt like I had more of a business mind, but wanted to stay creative. But at that point, I didn't know whether I'd maybe perhaps be a casting director or sort of enter the agent world. So 2, 3, maybe even 4 years after graduating, I started an internship at Debbie Rimmer's, which is primarily musical theatre, which was kind of my first love. And I was there for 5 years. And so I moved through being an agent's assistant to being a junior agent, senior agent, and then eventually starting my own list there, all in the one place before moving on 5 years later at that point to Galloway's with the list that I'd kind of created. And yeah, I've never really looked back. I love it.
Nice. And how did you find that transition from being an actor, training, having a career as an actor, to then moving into an agent? How was that transition?
Well, for me now as an agent, I think if I could go back, I would do exactly the same thing, because I think the reason that I have such close relationships with my clients and understand them the way I do is because of my start in the industry and the training that I had. And, you know, my closest friends that I still have now are all actors, really. So with that comes a complete understanding where there's not that block between the agent and the client, because they're on your side. So I think my training has helped me be the agent that I wanted to be, and the transition was super smooth and super easy. You know, I at the time I just knew I wanted it, and unlike a lot of my peers in my year at drama school, I think I left it quicker than most, and so it must have been something that I knew that I needed to do. It wasn't painful for me to to leave it. So I think, yeah, it was a fairly quick and easy transition, and it didn't take much thought or persuasion.
Nice. And are there any similarities from being an actor to an agent, or have you found that there are any huge differences that really took you by surprise?
I think obviously all agents work in different ways, but similarities really are that we are both agent and client. We are both working towards the same thing. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that there's like a business divide. And for me, it is important for the client to be able to get on with their work and what they love. And so, yes, there is the differences, of course, the business side, the contractual side, the negotiating side, dealing with problems, issues, you know, the middleman essentially. But in terms of similarities, we are both after the same thing. So it's the same thrill, it's the same buzz. And I love my clients to meet me halfway. It's like a 50-50 teamwork thing, because we're on the same side. So I guess that's why it's so similar, is that it's two people after the exact same goal.
And so obviously in recent years, we've seen the rise in self-tapes. But how do you think the industry's changed in recent years, particularly since COVID, since the writers' strike in the States? And what do you think the future holds?
Yeah, the industry has changed massively. Sort of 10, 11 years ago, when I entered into the agenting world, to now, especially in the last 5 years, I mean, it's a completely different industry that we're all in. Actors, agents, casting directors, the industry is completely different. And a lot of it in not so good ways. I mean, there's so much work that is not being made at the moment still. So therefore not as many jobs, and still even more actors than there were before. So it's pretty grim, and I think it's probably, even more miserable over in the US still. We haven't bounced back at all, not only from COVID, but from the strikes now. There hasn't been a full bounce back yet. So yeah, there's less work. Everything is virtual, which has its positives and negatives. The positives is that we can all work from anywhere, and I think that's amazing. I think for an actor, when we were starting out, you couldn't even go on holiday. You were so nervous to do anything, so nervous to say yes to a wedding or to go up north back home in case something came in and you weren't seen. And I think now we know that we can be anywhere, go anywhere, have a family, spend quality time and live a life, and still be actors, be agents. I can be, on a beach somewhere with a laptop doing the exact same job that I would do here at home or in the office. And that's what COVID has changed. But and more actors getting seen because of self-tapes. So many more actors getting the opportunity to work with scripts and put their work down for casting directors to see, rather than being, one of 6, 7 people in a room, because that's all that there was at the time. So that's amazing, I think.
What do you think the future holds?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's saying this now, we need to survive to 25. That's the new slogan. So everyone kind of said, 2024, and that's just not the case, and it hasn't happened. And, people are suffering, people have left the industry on both sides, companies have shut down. And I think, I'm hoping that that is the case, and it is a survival till 25 type thing, when things bounce back and we remember it being like it was pre-COVID. That's what it should be, and that's what we're all hoping it's going to be. And the both on stage and screen, things are getting made again, and there's more work for the amount of actors that deserve to be working. So that's what I hope the future holds.
And just going back to your work with casting directors then, and looking at both sides of the aisle, what is it that you look for in your colleagues as casting directors, and what is it that you look for from your actors when approaching castings? I think
really the word is collaboration on all sides. So nobody is better than anybody. There's not, and I think, again, when I was graduating, it was definitely like a tiered thing, and actors were at the bottom and everybody else was more intimidating and of a higher position. And I just don't think it is that. I think we are all similarly agent to client, casting directors, producers. We are all making the same thing, whether that's on stage or on screen. So I look for collaboration. I look for casting directors that, want my clients to do well, and give them the best forum to be able to do that, whether that's in the room or on a self-tape, and make them feel comfortable and that want to get to know me as an agent, and we can, all be excited together. And I think because things are so virtual now, we're so used to, emailing, and there's not as many phone calls, and people don't want to go out as much in the evening to catch something at the theatre. So we're relying on either past relationships that have been built years and years ago. We're trying to build new ones virtually. So I think, just people being friendly and kind and open, and similarly with the actors, again, just wanting ready to put their best work down, whether that's in the room or on tape, and to work with me when I've worked very hard to get them that opportunity. So all just working together to create great stuff. That's collaboration, I think.
Nice. Okay, so Katy, one of the things we like to do with our guests here at TapeDeck Sessions is a few quickfire questions. So I'm going to throw a few quickfire questions at you. I'd love to know your honest thoughts. So 3 things you love about your job.
I love, most of the time, I love the community. I love the community in this industry. And I think that spans from day one of drama school to right now to the present day. I think that we are, again, most of the time blessed with a community that all support each other. They want everybody to do well. There's an openness, there's an acceptance for people to be able to be who they want to be. So there's a lot of love a lot of the time. And I think my whole life, whether that is my friends, my colleagues, my clients, my partner, I wouldn't have any of them if it wasn't for the industry. They are all from the industry, 90%. So the industry has made and does make people's entire lives, day to day, 24 hours a day, and we all wouldn't, our best friends, our wives, our husbands wouldn't exist if we weren't in this industry that we're in. And so I love the community.
Amazing. I don't need 3. That one's good enough. Okay. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be?
That comes back to self-tapes, because whilst I said it was a good thing, and it absolutely is, because more people get opportunity, and I love that. I do find that a lot of the time when I speak to clients, perhaps clients that are sort of our age and above especially, but clients that didn't grow up in a self-tape world, they are just desperate to get in the room and have human connection, and they feel like perhaps they're not booking the jobs because they're not in the room. And I understand that as well. They feel like they're doing some of their best work and it's just going out into the ether, and they hear nothing, and they don't know if it's been watched, they don't know if it's been enjoyed. And I think for people's mental health, it should be a 50-50. It should be, they can come and see us if they want, or there is the option to self-tape if they're away, if they're with their family, if they're on holiday. And there, there's a casting director that only sees people in the room, Daniel Edwards, who since COVID, and I think it's an amazing thing, because every client that I've had that's gone in to meet that team have come out, whether they've got the job or not, and been so elated and positive about it, because they've just had a chance to work with people and do what they love. So I think I would change that I would, want people to meet actors again, and let them work with scripts.
It's funny that one of the reasons why we created TapeDeck was exactly that thing, that throwing something out into the ether is fine, and there's nothing wrong with not getting the job. But I think you at least want to know as an actor that your work has been seen. And you've had the opportunity. And then similarly, on the other side of that, I think if casting directors don't have a platform to be able to connect with the community, it's difficult for them. It's really difficult to get back to 50 actors or their agents. And I think that was the real key thing why we created TapeDeck, was to bridge that gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Desert Island, you can take one film, one play, one musical. What are you taking? That's so hard. And I always think when people get asked that question, I'm like, how do they answer that? Because I can never have less than 5. I can never. But so musical, it would have to be something from the Lin-Manuel world. So Hamilton or In the Heights, something you can have his back catalogue if you want. That can count.
Oh, okay, great. But then I'm like, oh, should it be Sondheim? Should it be Jason Robert Brown? Should it be Last 5 Years? Should it be Les Mis? So that's a hard one. What else? Film
and a play.
Film would have to be something super fun and girly and light, like the Bridget Jones trilogy or Bridesmaids.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can have a box set. That's fine.
All those.
Brilliant. And play.
And play, I think maybe something that I've seen many times, like The Crucible, and I just love it. Never gets old.
Classic. Absolutely. Yeah. Great choice. Great choices.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, Katie, give us an actor to watch out for.
Well, I could list off my entire client list because they should all be watched out for. But I have to choose somebody from my list currently because that's why I represent them, right?
Yeah.
So at the moment, I think an actor to watch out for, that might not currently be on screens or radars would be my client Jason Patel. He has just been not nominated, put in the Screen Stars of Tomorrow 2024 cohort, and his film Unicorns, which he leads opposite Ben Hardy, has just come out at cinemas in the last couple of weeks, and it's being released on Netflix later this year. And I think, perhaps he's not on everybody's radar at the moment, but he should be and will be. So maybe that would be who I would say at the moment.
Katy Wale, thank you so much for joining us on TapeDeck Sessions. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.